You're listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, a business and mindset coach who specializes in imposter syndrome. If you feel like you're not as smart, capable, or worthy as you actually are, and that someone is going to find you out, then you've come to the right place. I went from being a struggling government worker, working my coaching business on the side, but feeling unworthy and burnt out, to making multiple six figures helping women overcome imposter syndrome so they too can sign clients, make bank, and have the business or career of their dreams. I am nothing special. I have a stuttering disability, ADHD, and I struggle with anxiety and depression. So if I can learn how to feel good enough and overcome my inner imposter, then so can you. Let's dig in. Hey bitches, welcome back to the pod. Ooh, we are getting deep today and talking all about inner child work and releasing shame. I'm so excited. I wanted to do a little ditty on this because both inner child and reparenting work and releasing shame are a part of the From Imposter to Empowered program, which launches tomorrow. Oh my God, I can't believe it's fucking here. I cannot believe this. This is my 16-week group program for coaches to overcome imposter syndrome and the mindset blocks holding them back from confidently showing up and signing fucking clients. Early in the program, I teach you a powerful reparenting method that has allowed me to release years of negative experiences and trauma in relation to my childhood. And shame. Ooh, shame is the core emotion that is under imposter syndrome. So you learn how to identify shame in all areas and release it in real time so it's not sabotaging you or your business subconsciously, because shame sabotages the fuck out of you. You don't even realize. And guys, the waitlist is available at the link in my show notes, but you need to sign up like right now because we open the doors tomorrow. And if you sign up for the waitlist right now, you receive $111 off your investment when you join within the first 5 days of our launch. That again starts tomorrow. Holy shit, guys. I am so excited and I can't wait to meet you and virtually hug you and love on you and change your life through this program. We've been talking about it on the podcast for weeks, so I'm so excited. So quick, get on the wait list before it closes tomorrow when we open cart. I love you so much. So, like I said, we're going to talk about inner child work and releasing shame. And there's obviously so much to say and talk about when it comes to inner child work and releasing shame, like so much. Firstly, what is inner child work? The way I do it with my clients in my containers is it's understanding why you think and act the way that you do, why you can get triggered and upset with certain things, and where you have developed your belief system. So much of what we think and believe about ourselves and the world comes from what we learned as children, where our brains were malleable and just absorbing everything around us, trying to make sense of the world. So for example, if you watched 101 Dalmatians, maybe you learned that a powerful, rich woman is ugly and mean and cruel and even evil, right? So it doesn't even have to be what your caregivers taught you. It can be from pop culture, the media we consumed, what our friends and family were talking about, what our friends were talking about at school, religious and cultural impact, etc. I've seen it all with my clients. You form a landscape of the world through your experiences, and then if you don't challenge that landscape, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You will live out your life how you choose to see it and what you choose to believe, and through the lens you choose to see it through. In my book, You're Not Special, also at the link in my show notes, I talk about how each of us gets a pair of glasses at the beginning of our lives, but we all get different colored lenses. As we have experience on experience, we add this lens and that lens, and our lenses look entirely different than anybody else's. My experiences and my beliefs are completely different from yours, right? Now, where we get fucked up is that we have experiences that tell us that we're not good enough, that people don't love us, that we're not worthy, that money is hard to make, and we develop negative beliefs that don't help us achieve what we want to achieve. The way I see inner child work for my coaching containers is to actively reparent. So it's not to harp on and harbor and indulge the stories that we came with us, but instead understand where it came from, reframe or gain perspective from that experience as an adult that we may not have had before, and then reparent ourselves to get what we needed, usually love, compassion, space to be held for our emotions, and then move forward with that information, right? In a client session, I use NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, and this is a tool that I use all the time, especially in the From Imposter to Empowered program, to help you release limiting beliefs deep in your subconscious mind so they're gone forever and they're not subconsciously sabotaging you. As I coached this client, I helped her identify a pattern that she had been running her entire life, like your brain is like a computer, and the beliefs that we have, they create our reactions, our behaviors, our thoughts, etc. So she was running this program or pattern her entire life, and we found where it was coming from, an experience that she had when she was about 7 years old in relation to her dad's passing. So she went back on her subconscious timeline and gained so much perspective and knowledge and learnings from that experience that she didn't have the capacity for at 7 years old, right? So she was able to go back and look back as an adult. She was able to see differently and completely release the pattern or program. She even messaged me the next day and said that a lot of the anxiety that she had on a day-to-day basis was literally gone. It was like so amazing. But we aren't taught this stuff. We're not taught to go back and actually question an experience and tell a different story. I was watching some funny Christmas movie on Netflix in December, and this girl was upset because of something a public school bully said to her. And when she even saw him years later, she called him out on it. And he was like, dude, I was a kid. I had no idea I even said that. I'm sorry, I was an asshole kid and my parents were getting divorced, etc. And I was just thinking to myself, how are you holding your future self hostage because of something that your inner child refuses to let go of? We aren't talking about changing the past, but allowing yourself to actually let an experience be categorized differently in your mind as a means to move forward. I think about gentle parenting when it comes to inner child work. Yes, it can feel cringy at times. And if you don't know what that is, it's a very TikTok trendy thing right now where people are just kind to their children and speak to them as if they're adults, which the boomers don't know anything about that. Am I right? I don't have trauma. It's fine. But yes, it could feel cringy at times. But what do we have to lose by literally coddling our little selves? By realizing a trigger is something from childhood and actively holding dear that part of you. So I was just in a feminine embodiment and healing group program the last 4 months, and in a breathwork exercise early on in the program, I uttered the words, I don't want to be alone. So as a kid, I was always alone because I wanted to be. I was introverted and I needed that recharge time. I also had a speech impediment and I had undiagnosed ADHD, of course, as well. And I didn't realize that it was taking up so much mental and physical and emotional energy to be around people. So I really needed that recharge time, right? I also never felt like I fit in, or I thought people didn't like me because of my stutter. So I isolated myself, and that included isolating myself with my emotions. So it got to a point where I told literally no one about my struggles and how I felt, not even my fiance a ton of the time, because I was sure people would see my flaws and they would judge me, right? So inner child work allows us to see things differently and reparent ourselves to blossom into who we're meant to be, emotionally whole, resilient, and healthy. And this doesn't mean that your upbringing has to suck. It doesn't at all. I had great parents, I still have great parents, and a great childhood, but I still had experiences where my parents weren't as emotionally intelligent as I needed them to be, or where I was ridiculed, bullied, made fun of for my stutter, all those things where I was excluded from my friends. Inner child work is for everyone, and the way that I teach it in the From Imposter to Empowered program will literally change your life. Now let's do a little ditty on releasing shame. I don't know why I keep wanting to say that, but it sounds good. But shame is that core emotion that we fuck with in the From Imposter to Empowered program. Literally the core emotion. I do it all. I do anger, sadness, blah, blah, blah. But like shame. Shame is the one that we deal with in the From Imposter to Empowered program. Because here's the thing. What are we afraid of if we were to be judged, rejected, criticized, or called out? We are afraid to feel ashamed. We are afraid of feeling the emotion of shame, experiencing the emotion of shame. Because shame says that you are bad. It is an ultimate. It is an ender. It is, this is how it is. You are bad. It is deep and dark and isolating. And a lot of us have had shame used against us. And it is actually quite normal in society to think that shame is functional and that it serves a purpose. When it comes to imposter syndrome, shame is the primary emotion underneath it, because if you struggle with imposter syndrome to the point of it holding you back or keeping you small, the risk of something happening that would make you feel ashamed is more potent than going after and getting the results that you want. So for example, one of my one-to-one clients was a business coach whose sales had gone down when we started working together. She was feeling so much shame and imposter syndrome because of what she was making her numbers mean, and this was affecting how she was showing up to her business to market and sell, and even was affecting how she was coaching her clients because she thought that she wasn't helping them. She was ashamed that if people knew her real numbers, that they wouldn't respect her or see her in the same light. Okay, so another client, and I think I've said this on the podcast before, she was telling me her sales from last year for her 2 businesses, and it was in the mid 60,000 range. And she was expressing disappointment about that. And I told her, the numbers are a fact, yes, but you get to decide whatever you want to decide about those numbers. They are just numbers, and you get to decide what to think about them. My business coaching client was making between $5,000 and $6,000 a month, and those were her low months, people. Low months. Like, objectivity doesn't exist here because it's everything that you are making it mean. Shame is a liar, and shame will keep you stuck. Check in with yourself right now, okay? Right now, right this second. Even if you're driving, okay? Check in. Do you feel shame about your results? Do you feel shame about where you are in life? Do you have shame about what you have or haven't done? Shame is toxic and it is poisonous, and I truly believe that there is no function for shame. It thrives in isolation and keeps you isolated because it tells the false narrative that you will lose love or that your needs won't be met or you'll be judged if you were to bring your shame to light. So, Story time from Jill. Early 2021, my sales dipped because of a number of reasons, right? I was dealing with trauma from my childhood home burning down. I was dealing with our landlords selling our house randomly out from under us and having to move 2 months after the house burned down. I was also in the midst of switching up my product suite because I thought that I needed to. I hired a new mentor. My sister was still living with us. Like, a lot was happening. I had undiagnosed ADHD. And because my offers were changing, my energy was low like 100% of the fucking time. I just wasn't showing up and selling as much or in that highest self-power. My imposter syndrome was popping. Like, I felt like such a fraud at my lowest moments. But I learned how to process and release my shame. Because you see, the imposter syndrome thoughts weren't as much of a problem when I didn't attach my shame to them. Mind blown. If I had thoughts like, who am I to talk about making money when my own sales weren't as high as previous months? Shame is the thing that would keep me in that cycle, telling me that it is bad. How I didn't let it affect me is by lots of coaching, mindset work, and somatic work, and actually being raw and real and vulnerable with my clients and my audience. Now, I am a firm believer in speaking from my scars, not my wounds, which means to do your healing first before you spill everything out. But I talked about my depression and my struggles and having an online business that demands so much of our energy and going through hard shit. And my sales inevitably climbed back up. And in September 2021, I had my very first 20K month, as you guys know. And shame could have taken me all the way down. And honestly, I've seen that happen to other coaches in this space, right? Like, their sales dip or things happen. They have to get a part-time job. They don't show up for a minute and think everyone forgot about them. And then they hide in shame and think that they fucked everything up. and then they actually stop running their business. But you did not fuck anything up. You didn't, and you haven't. You are as much of an expert as you decide that you are. And shame is a complete and total lie. Imposter syndrome is something that you can manage and work through, but shame is unnecessary to your life and to your business. In the From Imposter to Empowered program, we rid you of the shame under your imposter syndrome for good, so you never have to sacrifice the life that you want or the business you want or the money that you want to make because of shame. So are you ready? Today is your last chance to get yourself on the waitlist before doors open tomorrow. And when you join the waitlist, you get $111, angel numbers, off your investment if you apply within the first 5 days of our launch. Again, we launch tomorrow. We open doors tomorrow. I want you to silence your inner imposter for good, overcome those mindset blocks that are stopping you from showing up as your most confident, assured self so you can sign clients and have that profitable coaching business that I know that you want. So link in my show notes to get on the wait list. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you next week where we will be mid-launch and we're going to be talking about the sales mistake that you are making. I love you. Bye. Thanks for listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. Head to the show notes to find out how you can take this work deeper with me in one-to-one coaching or in the From Imposter to Empowered group program. In the show notes, you'll also find a free 3-day challenge to start the process of overcoming your inner imposter. And once you're done with all of that, screenshot this episode and share it on Instagram, tagging me at Your Coach Jill so we can connect. See you next time.